Hello, it's Rachel from the So Happy Quilters Association, and today I'm preparing all of my Hexiform squares and triangles and diamonds ready to go onto my patchwork jacket for Festival of Quilts. And I am currently on the Celebrity Apex cruise ship. This is the atrium, which is really pretty. It's a really nice place to actually sit and have a nice little quiet cup of tea whilst you are doing your sewing. So obviously I've got my little sewing box with me and my little Hexiform diamonds, so we're going to carry on doing those. So let's have a look at the little shapes. So I've made it in two different Liberty fabrics. So we've got a darker fabric and then a lighter fabric. So I think it's quite cute really. We're just going to decide, do we do it like this? I think that would be quite cute, and then maybe going down like that is what I'm kind of thinking. Maybe have the other one at the top. So when you've got Hexiform, you might have seen me do this before, Hexiform is really great. You use this instead of paper piecing, so you're not going to take the papers out. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it, the woven side down onto the wrong side of the fabric, and then you've got a woven side and then you've got a fluffy side. And this Hexiform is created by Ashmead Designs, and as you can see from the fabric that I've cut, you don't necessarily need to cut it in that actual shape. You just got to make sure you're actually covering the actual fabric. So you could trim off here if you want to. Sometimes I decide to do that later on. When I get to this one, I probably will cut it shorter. When I cut them to bring them, I just did them roughly, so I probably will cut that one down. So when you sew Hexiform, you need to be going through the fabric and the Hexiform. Ideally, don't go through the fabric at the back of it. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut to there, and you're going to move down like that. So all you're doing, you're sewing through the fabric, the Hexiform, and you're not going through the other side. And then when you've done a stitch over in a couple of positions, you could do a knot on the end of the stitch if you want to, but obviously if you pull your stitches too fast or too hard, and then you could pull the stitching out completely. So I tend to do stitches over and over. So what you're going to do is you fold over the side. Again, you're not going through the back. What you're doing is you're going just through the Hexiform and through the fabric. What's really good about this is, I think, with Hexiform, it's such a great design because it's so much softer on your hands. You're not manipulating papers or cards or anything like that. And you don't have to wad it as well, because the Hexiform is like a wadding, so you don't have to put any extra wadding in. And then that is your first little one done. And then when you get to this end, I would definitely recommend you do a knot stitch. So that's it. And then you get your little snippers, and then you're going to cut that there, and that's your first one. So obviously I did one earlier, so I'm going to keep making all of them, and then we will end up making a star which will go on my waistcoat for Festival of Quilts. So as you can see, I'm going to cut that little bit off and put that in my Liberty scrap box, which is, as you know, I love a Liberty scrap box. So I am currently on the Celebrity Apex cruise ship, and we are going to Copenhagen today. So that's going to be interesting. I'm hoping to go and see a fabric shop. I know there's a really big one called Self-Made, which is a little bit like Hobbycraft maybe. We mostly do fabrics and stuff. We went to one last year, we went to Denmark. I've never been to Copenhagen before. So if you have, you can let me know. They were saying that apparently it is famous for the Little Mermaid statue. It was inspired by the Disney film, or was it the other way around? Disney might have been inspired by the Little Mermaid statue in Copenhagen, who knows? I'm sure we're going to find out. But I will be doing a little tour around the ship later, and you can see all the patchwork patterns because there are absolutely loads of them. So as you can see, this is really quick. So you're not gluing it, you're literally just stitching it. A couple of stitches over and over the same position, and then you're going to use the templates to fold down. So I'm going to need to thread another needle, get another needle loaded. I tend to just use the cotton at the length of my thumb up to my elbow. That's the amount of cotton I can usually deal with. And I've got this really great needle threader, which is like a little bug with a little light, which is quite good for the evening. Sometimes I can just thread it without the needle threader, but for ease and for speed, just use the needle threader. We'll see if we can get 6 of them done, and then I can show you how I put them together. And there you go. So that is your 6th one, which we're going to put in like that. So that's very, very cute. I usually get a picture at this point so I know when I'm sewing it together what they're going to look like. So I'm going to take a photo. You might have already seen this picture on Instagram. What I'd recommend for putting together is you put them in 3s. So you're going to divide them into 2 like that, and then you're going to get 2, so to 2, so that the 3rd to the 2, and then you're going to do the same with that, and then you're going to put them together. So the first thing you're going to do is put the right side of fabric to right side of fabric, and you're going to put them there. I would definitely recommend using a quilter's clip to hold it, because if you hold it, it stops it moving, and then it tells you which edge you're going to sew down. So we're going to stitch down this side. Now sometimes what I do, because I have got cotton left on my needle, is to do a whip stitch to here to get your needle in the right position, and then you can carry on sewing the other side, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a stitch in the middle, and then again, and one at the end, and that gets you to the right position. And now your cotton is now here. So what you're going to do, you're then going to add the next one. So again, right side of fabric to right side of fabric. Get your little quilter's clip, and you're going to put it there. And now you know you're going to sew up here. And this is when you wish you'd brought an iron with you on the cruise so that you can iron it, but I did not, because you're not allowed to. I suppose I could go to the laundrette if I'm desperate and find an iron, but I'm not going to. I'll wait till I get home. This is the good thing about Hexiform as well, is that you can kind of like manipulate it a bit, and it goes like that. So now we'll do the next 3. I was reading a book recently called Amy M's, who was a Durham quilter, and she's no longer with us. She said one of her quilts used to take her 300 hours, and she didn't start recording how long it took until quite way in making her quilts. And then you've got your second one. So to put it together into your little star shape, you've got lots of little ears to contend with, but what we're going to do is we're going to put right side of fabric to right side of fabric, and then we're going to clip it, but we're going to clip it up here, because if you clip it in that position, that's going to hold it. You could put a pin through there if you want to, but I probably would not. And it does work if you put a pin through it, but it's quite thick. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down here, and then when we get to where the ears are, we're just going to literally fold them back like that. Okay, so what I recommend when you get to an end is always do a couple of stitches over and over in the same position, and always do a couple of knots. because when you stitch this as part of a quilt or you stitch your applique on something, there's going to be a lot of pressure on those, what I call a junction. So now we're going to take our clips off, and voila! How cute is that? I will definitely be putting that on my waistcoat for festival. So I'm now going to get on and sew the second one. So that is my first one and this is my second one. So now we're just going to put this one together. And then that is my second one done. Obviously you could carry on doing lots more. If I get a 2 on my waistcoat, but you carry on doing lots more, you could put another one here and then join them together to make a really big quilt. But isn't that absolutely lovely? So I hope you've enjoyed watching those. This is my first patchwork jacket ready to wear for Festival of Quilts. So I've put those little stars that I was sewing earlier onto there. I've created these ones into a little butterfly, and then I've done that one, and I've put this on the back. And it is using the Liberty Bridgerton fabric. And so now I'm going to get on with my second one.
You can find and follow the So Happy Quilters Association on social media and their website.